Hi guys! Oh my gosh, this is so exciting because this is the first ever live stream I've ever done. So this video is going to be in the form of a live stream, and as you guys join, I will answer some questions as we go along and sort of at the end. But because I'm going to also post this as a video, I'm just going to get straight into it. So this is so exciting because I really wanted to interact with you guys, and I know a lot of you actually come to my videos as soon as they're uploaded. So I was like, if I just do it in a live stream, as people see me like doing the live stream, they can just join and then it'll be super fun and interactive that way. But basically today we're going to be talking about the differences between those that attract what they want and their dream life now, instantly, versus those that attract their dream life later on versus never. There's going to be a huge difference in this type of person and their energy, and we want to make sure that we are staying in the absolute magnetic version of us. We want to stay in the energy of the person that decides they get to have it all and actually has it all on the spot, versus the person that is slow at attracting things, is slow at deciding, and doesn't have that kind of magnetic energy about them. So I'm going to go over a few. I've got 3 of the main points here that makes someone this type of person. So first of all, just to get straight into it, first of all, the first quality of this type of person is that they slow down. And this might be something you've heard before. It might not be, but it's what a lot of people don't talk about. So people that slow down in everyday life are the people that have the rest of the qualities that I'm going to say in this video, the rest of the points. But when someone slows down with everything, they remain in the present. There's something about someone that remains in the present at all times. There's something calm and relaxing in their energy when they are slow and present in the moment. This person sits back and enjoys the journey because they are certain that what they want is on the way. They sit back in their feminine energy. Whoever you are, whatever gender, you sit back in your feminine when you receive. And if you want to receive anything, you have to sit back in your feminine, in your knowing, in your relaxing energy, and your receiving energy. Because the masculine energy, when we're trying to manifest, is the trying hard, the implementing the structure, the implementing the statistical analytical side, which means you're in your head and not in your body, and that's the masculine side. So yes, maybe we do want to come up with some structure in a manifestation, but the people that attract faster are the people that decide, and then they sit back and they relax and they slow down with their life. They slow down with everything that they're doing. They remain in their present. Someone that is rushing, so versus the person that rushes all the time and they're not slow and they're not present, and this used to be me, so I'll give you an example of how my life used to pan out all the time because it wasn't pretty all the time. So the person that rushes is a person that is desperate. They want the thing in the future to happen now. They're in their desperate energy. They're rushing in order to pull forwards the future into the now. What do you think desperate energy does to you? It puts you in a lack frequency. And lack frequency is low, like really low on the vibrational triangle that you guys probably have seen. I think I've put it in a video before, but at the top we have like love, gratitude. At the bottom, we have all the bad ones like feeling bad, feeling lack, feeling anger, guilt, shame, all of those. And when you're rushing, you are putting yourself in the desperate lack energy. And I don't even mean rushing in your manifestation. you will find that you're in this low vibration throughout your whole life without even realizing it, just like I did. Because I was manifesting and meditating, but I was still rushing life, which meant that I was rushing the manifestation without even realizing it. I was not slowing down. So, what I used to do basically is, without realizing it, I would rush everything that I did, from doing my skincare to probably the only thing I didn't rush was brushing my teeth. But even then, I'd be doing it super fast. I'd still do it for the full 2 minutes, but like I'd still be doing it super fast, right? And I would rush every single detail from washing up. I wouldn't wash it properly almost. Like my boyfriend Aaron, he'd be like, there's still a bit of food like stuck dry on this cup. And I'm like, oh my God, you're just being so pedantic. Like it's like the tiniest bit. But that was me getting triggered because he was revealing a shadow to me. I thought he was projecting his like OCD nitpickiness onto me, when actually it was me seeing a shadow being reflected to me, and I didn't like it because that didn't align with my identity at the time. I thought I was this, person that didn't do stuff like that. Like I do things properly, right? My ego was trying to protect me, when actually I was just getting triggered because he was revealing that part of me that I didn't identify with. And I would literally go in the cupboard to make like a cup of tea, and I would literally grab something, and just before I grab it, I'd almost look away and go on to the next thing. And then I'd like grab a spoon as I'm like grabbing the tea. And then like it would often result in me like pulling out something from the cupboard or knocking something over, because instead of me looking at my hand and making sure I don't drop something or knock something over, I would pick it up like this, and I would look where I'm going, and then this hand would just be like running free, and it would knock stuff over. So if you are a clumsy person, I have always been a clumsy person, which again was only because I rushed everything without realizing it. If you've always been a clumsy person, likelihood is you fit into the category of someone that does things too fast. They're rushing, and they're rushing at so many little things that they're actually rushing at life on a bigger picture. Because how you do something is how you do everything, right? This famous quote, if you do something rushed, you do everything rushed. If you do something rushed, then maybe you rush in the car as well. You're likely to speed, which I used to do as well. I used to go over the speed limit. And the only time I didn't is when someone was in the car with me, because I knew that. So I was hiding myself already. I knew I was doing things wrong, but I just thought that I could hide from everyone and just do it when I'm around, right? But if you do it when you're around, you do it when everyone's around. So I would always rush, and I wouldn't look where I was going. I wouldn't look what I was doing. And it would result in a lot of clumsy behavior. And without realizing it, that was me rushing life. I was rushing doing pretty much anything. Like I would be that person that puts my phone on charge and I take it off again at like 20-30%, because I'm like, yep, that's enough, that'll do me. And then I would then later on in the day need to charge it again and get frustrated because it didn't last, because I was rushing in the morning. And this meant then that my energy was low. And how do you think that happens what do you think happens then when like my energy is low? And I'm then manifesting at nighttime, in the morning, scripting in the daytime. That rushing energy would spill into multiple areas of my life, into all of my manifestations, because this is the thing, it results in you not being able to detach as well. When you're trying to manifest, you have to remain detached. So obviously I've got the manifestation triangle: frequency, believing, and detachment. And when you're rushing, it causes you to, when you're in the lack frequency, you're no longer detached when you're rushing, because you're attached to the outcome and you're forcing the outcome to then happen, because you're rushing like, I need it to happen now, which brings you to no longer be detached. You think you're detached, you think you don't want it really bad, but really you're actually attached to the outcome because you want it to happen, and you want it to happen fast. So this is where you'll go to the manifestation forums and people will be like, hey guys, just here to reach out to you guys to see if anyone knows why my manifestation is still not here yet. And it's been a year and 3 months, and I've been doing scripting, I've been doing visualization, I've tried all of it. Can anyone help me why I haven't got it yet? And just by reading that message, you can probably tell that they have tried and tried and tried, which means that they've been in their masculine attracting energy, try, rather than sitting back and knowing that it's going to happen, and therefore slowing down and therefore not rushing for it to happen because they've been waiting. So there's a person that slows down and there's a person that's always waiting. And so many people fall into the waiting, because the problem when they're waiting for it to happen is that they don't actually believe it's going to happen because they're in the waiting game. And when you identify as someone that's waiting for your manifestation to happen, that's an identity then. So then you will always be waiting. In a year's time, you'll still be waiting. In 3 years' time, you'll still be waiting. You see where I'm going here? Rather than just sitting there and saying, okay, I decide it's going to happen now because I know with all my heart that I have the power to manifest and get what I want. I've decided now, and now I'm going to let the universe do its thing, and I'm going to let it unfold before me. And I'm going to continue slowing down with life. I'm going to continue taking my time, remaining in the present. I'm going to continue manifesting in terms of meditating to remain in the present. I'm going to continue scripting and journaling on the future me, the future self-concept and identity that I want to have. And therefore, this will all cause me to have a higher vibration. It will cause me to take my time. It will cause me to remain in gratitude, remain in the present. And therefore, that manifestation will then actually happen rather than waiting for it. It will cause all of these things that you then decide to do after you've decided will then cause it to happen, rather than you just saying, oh, it will happen one day. I'm just going to wait for it to happen. It will happen one day. So that is the first attribute, shall we say, of the person that gets the manifestation fast and attracts their dream life now versus the person that attracts stuff later or never, the person that's always in the waiting game. So the second attribute of the person, also just going back to the last point, also you imagine seeing someone in the street rushing, like, you know, when they're speed walking down the road, you're like, oh, almost looking at them gives me a bit of an uneasy, stressed feeling, like I'm stressed for them right now, because we can feel other people's energies, right? We know how they're feeling by how they're acting. And then you imagine someone that is walking really slowly, they're taking their time, they're taking their stride, they've got their head held high, you know, they're almost smiling. You know how people smile with their eyes? They're almost smiling almost. And that person looks so much more mysterious, magnetic, and elegant because they're taking their time. Don't be the person to walk around rushing everywhere, because again, I used to rush everywhere too. I'd be walking down the street like I've got nowhere to be. I'm just going to the shop for an energy drink. Do you know what I mean? All things I don't do anymore, because energy drinks also cause me to rush. Caffeine causes you to, like, your heartbeat, your mind's racing, like all the adrenaline that gets released into your body when you have caffeine, like artificial caffeine, it's not good for you. And that further associated with me being a rushing person. But we'll get into that another day. So the second attribute of someone that, attracts now versus the person that attracts later is that they know it's unfolding. They're in the knowing rather than the waiting. So when you're in certainty, and this links with the last point as well, when you're in the knowing state helps you to relax. And when you're relaxed, you're detached. When you're relaxed and you're in the knowing state, you believe it's going to happen. When you're in the knowing state, you're in the highest vibration. So already you're ticking off all 3 points on the triangle of manifestation. You believe because you're relaxed. And if you didn't believe, you would be kind of stressed out and uneasy, right? You'd be rushing. So you're relaxed and therefore detached. You're relaxed and therefore you believe it's going to happen because you're not worrying. You believe it's going to happen. And you're relaxed and in the knowing, and therefore you are in a high vibration. Yeah, high vibration. I always forgot then. You're in a high vibration then, because you're in the knowing state. You're like, oh my God, it's literally, this is the truck analogy I used in my last one. You're almost like knowing that there's this big pink truck driving across the country on the way to your house with everything you've ever wanted in. That's the knowing state. Knowing that that truck is on its way to you at any time with whatever you want. As soon as you decide it's going to happen, that truck appears out of nowhere and starts making its way to you. Anytime you decide that something is going to happen, it just literally appears and it is on the way to you. That's what it's like when you decide that you want something, and that's what it's like living in the knowing state. The truck driving to you is a reflection of the universe unfolding before you. Because we're in a 3D plane and we manifest on an energetic plane, which is a 4D plane, we instantly align ourselves through our vibration, and therefore we instantly align ourselves with our manifestation. But we have to allow the 3D world, which is filled with matter, like my mouse here. I can't just make this hover in the air and like teleport to me, right? We can't do that. So we have to let it unfold on a physical plane that makes sense to physics, which means that the truck, as the example, needs to physically drive to us. We need to physically allow the world to unfold before us, because on a quantum level, it's happened. On a quantum level, it's done and dusted. You've aligned yourself through your frequency from top to toe, through your frequency, through your knowing state, through your gratitude, your energy, right? And then you just literally have to let it unfold. So that's the knowing state. Knowing that it's unfolding is the difference between someone that will attract simultaneously, like instantly. As soon as you start looking for the manifestation, you've lost it. Right? You need to just sit back and relax. Yes. Work on yourself, right? When you manifest something, decide it's going to happen. And then after then, focus on the shadow work. Focus on the inner work that's going to keep you relaxed in the present, focused on you, focused on your belief system, focused on your identity and all the things that are going to keep you in the now, in the knowing state, and in a high belief system. Don't focus on actively manifesting every day. Making sure you get in an extra scripting session because you've got the day off today. Making sure you visualize 3 times a day today because it's the weekend instead. That's trying, and that's actively manifesting because you think that by you trying more, it's going to result in the manifestation coming sooner, when actually it's pushing it back further. So instead of doing it that way, decide you're going to do it, sit back in your feminine, relaxed, chill energy, and focus on you, your brain, your energy, your self-development, inner work, your belief system, your identity shifting. Then everything will align together. So you need to decide and then know it's on its way. The truck is driving to you. You don't have to do anything anymore, guys. You've decided on your frequency. Just keep your frequency on that level and it will come to you. Keep your frequency on the level and don't drop below it. And if you drop below it for a very valid reason, like, I don't know, someone dies, for instance, like, fine, drop below that level, but make sure that, like, it's not forever, right? You can drop below the level, put your manifestation on pause for a few weeks whilst you're in grief. Or if something just really bad happens one day, the next day you're fine. That's okay. You can drop below it. Just make sure that the scale doesn't get outscaled. You know what I'm saying? So it's not going to just not happen just because you drop one day. Like, it's still going to happen. Just realign your frequency as soon as you can, right? So an example of this is going online and shopping. When you place an order online, say you go on ASOS. ASOS, I love ASOS, but say you go online on ASOS and you place an order for a lovely dress, right? First, I've just thought of 2 types of people right here, and one of them is definitely going to be me. Like, I'm not going to lie, one of them is me. But you don't sit there and check the tracking every minute of the day to make sure that it's definitely going to come the next day, right? I mean, if you're like me, I've got next day delivery. But you're not going to sit there and check the tracking every minute of the day just to make sure that the courier still has your parcel and it's still going to come the next day. No, because you know that you've placed the order and then you just have to wait for it to arrive at your door. You know it's going to come in the next couple of days. You don't know when, but it's going to come. You don't check all the time though, do you? So why, when you place your order with the universe, why would you feel the need to ever check and purposely look for signs and synchronicities that it's going to happen when you just know? You should really just be in the knowing state that, like, yeah, I know it's going to happen. I'm just going to keep my frequency high, focus on me, focus on being in the present and do whatever. That's the person that does it. That's the person that attracts fast. The person that knows and keeps their vibration high for as long as they can. But at the same time, this is a good way to know if you're that rushing person or not. If you are the person that actually in real life checks the tracking all the time, then girl, you got some impatience, anxiety. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have the work to do there, because you should have trust in the world, the couriers, like everything. Like, I know something bad might have happened before. I don't know, maybe someone lost your parcel one day. Fine, it's okay. It's okay. Like, one thing happened. It doesn't mean you need to keep attached to that one event. It doesn't mean you need to let that emotion sit inside of you, because if you've got this anxiety rushing in your body at all times and this stress, that's impacting your organs, because that's a low frequency and all of our organs are vibrating at a certain frequency. We need to let that go. We need to sit in the emotion, let it run its course and release it. Do the shadow work. So yeah, if you're that kind of person, there's some inner work for you to do. You're welcome. So the third thing then, this is the last point now. So the third thing, I have my notes here. The third attribute of this person is that they're grateful for the now and what's to come. They're grateful for this moment right now, rather than being impatient and being that waiting person, that nobody is going to benefit anything from being the person that waits. So the third attribute is being the person that's grateful for the now and also happy for what's to come. So people say, how do I manifest the future whilst also remaining in the present and being happy for what I have now without actively manifesting more of what I have now? Like, how do I get the middle ground? And the answer is to be grateful for what you have now and excited for what is to come. And there's a very fine line between that. And you do have to kind of actively check in with yourself to make sure you're not too attached to the end outcome, and make sure you're not placing too much emphasis on the end outcome. And most importantly, to make sure you are actually practicing gratitude in the now. And if you don't really know if you think, yeah, I'm a grateful person, I don't need to practice gratitude, already that's you, a shadow that's appearing in you because you think you're this person, but you're actually maybe not, because you're already assuming that you're that person without actually exploring it. And therefore your shadow is likely then running the show to you, saying to your ego, yeah, I'm fine, I'm perfect, I don't have the work to do, which is likely then meaning that you do have the work to do. So yes, I used to think I was a super grateful, thankful person because I was happy all the time and I was happy with my life and I was excited for the future, but I was not practicing gratitude on a level that was actually truly increasing my vibration. Unless you actively, purposefully, here's the word here, purposefully practice gratitude, you're not truly grateful. You can't be truly grateful. If you look at people that are truly grateful, like maybe you're like, yeah, well, my grandma, she's like amazingly grateful person because she likely did the work before, because she likely purposefully did gratitude earlier on in her life, and therefore now she does it without even trying. Whereas I had never practiced gratitude, really. I'd never actually purposely sat down with myself and gone, what are the things I'm grateful for in my life right now? I had never done that until recently, in the last few months. This is the year of self-transformation for me. This is the year that I created the YouTube channel to actually help you guys and teach you the things that I'm learning and the things that I've taught before, the things that I was born with. There's some things that I was just knew automatically for some strange reason. But that's why I created it. It's all been this year. So I started practicing gratitude. People started smiling to me in the streets. I noticed people just looking at me like happily, not like staring. More girls my age and any age really just started randomly smiling to me, like people in Asda. Like I said the other day in my last video, this lady, without even looking at me, just came up to me with her trolley, this old lady, and she says, "Do you need a trolley?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll have a trolley." That same day when I went on my gratitude drive, purposefully to practice gratitude and remain present whilst doing my shopping and stuff, that is the day that the lady gave me the trolley. And then 2 people on the same drive randomly smiled at me before I even looked at them. They were already smiling at me. It's like people can feel your vibration. Like people can feel it. I didn't even need to smile at them. I didn't even need to do anything. When I looked at them, they were already smiling at me. This one lady was letting me go. Like I was trying to pull out and I was facing the other way and she was this side and I was pulling out like this. I looked at her and she was already smiling at me, like letting me go like this. So it's not even like they looked at me, saw that I was smiling, like nothing like that. It was literally just my energy. And you know, things like that will start to happen every single day when you're grateful for the now and excited for what's to come. This is the energy of I'm grateful for the now. I'm grateful for what is happening right now. And therefore, I get everything that I want now because that's just my energy. That's just my frequency. And so let me see what I've got here. You have to yes. Okay, this is a good point. So you have to want what you have before you get what you want. You have to want what you have before you get what you want. Because if you don't want what you have, if you can't truly say that you're with what you have right now, if you can't truly say that if you stayed in this position forever, that you wouldn't be happy, if you can't say that you'd truly be happy if you just stayed where you are right now forever, then you're not grateful enough for the now and you're not present enough in the now. If you need to be happy, you need to be okay with your manifestation not happening. That's the detachment we want. Being okay for it to not actually happen. That's how you know you're truly detached, truly relaxed, and truly grateful for your life right now as it is without anything else in it. That's how you know you're in the present. No, that's the best frequency possible. You want what you have now before you get what you want. And this is the thing. This is how people become serial manifestors, because they get one thing and then they're like, oh, that was so fun. It was like a game almost. Oh, let's try something else. Let's try this other thing. And then they get it and they're like, let's try something other thing. Let's get it. And then they actually get it. And everyone's like, whoa, how do you just get what you want all the time? Like, how? How are you that kind of person? That's the reason. Because they literally are playing. They're playing with it. They're using their inner child to play. They're just deciding and wanting, and then they get it because they didn't actually really want it. It was just come from a pure place. It came from a place of pureness. It came from a place of gratitude. And that's the kind of person that will get it instantly. And therefore, they just always vibrate at a higher frequency. And every time they get another thing, they vibrate at a higher frequency again and again and again and again. And this is the kind of person, so here's an example for you, that Helene Hadsel, Helene Hadsel is her name, from America. She lived in the 1900s and also in the 2000s, because there's some interviews of her on YouTube, called the Contest Queen. She is the person that manifested winning thousands of competitions. Thousands. She even manifested for her partner, her husband. I think it was like a mower or something random like that. But she would manifest for him. That's how powerful she got. And these were all things she didn't need. Notice how they were all things she didn't need. She manifested holidays. Nobody needs a holiday. She manifested holidays. She manifested like lawnmowers and stuff. These are all things that she manifested from her playful energy throughout her life. So much so that she made it to the news. So much so that she's now known for being like one of the greatest manifestors. And there's so many interviews of her before she died. And it's crazy because she was just always vibrating at this high frequency. She was always grateful for what she has. And whenever she asked for something, it would always be out of a place of gratitude for that thing. Like, oh, wouldn't it be nice? There's a reason the wouldn't it be nice method is so spoke about in the manifestation community, because you have to say, wouldn't it be nice? Rather than, I need this to happen. When is it going to happen? There's a difference between those two people. Whereas when you practice gratitude and you remain at that high frequency, this is what's going to bring the manifestation to you at lightning speed. But the thing is that you can't just purposely vibrate at a high frequency, purposely get yourself in a good state for the purpose of this material manifestation. That's inauthentic. You can't purposely say, oh, I want to manifest, and therefore, because I want this thing so bad, like, I don't know, you want a G-Wagon or something, right? I want this G-Wagon so fast, and therefore I'm going to dedicate my life around it. I am going to practice remaining on a high frequency by visualizing every single day in order to get this G-Wagon. It's inauthentic because our body on a natural level doesn't want a G-Wagon. We want the feeling of having a G-Wagon, not the G-Wagon itself. We want the feeling of being able to drive it and say we have it, not the G-Wagon. But also, you're then artificially inflating your vibration, and it's not coming from a true and pure place. So ultimately, you're not actually at a high frequency. You think you are, but you're not. It's an inauthentic frequency. What you actually have to do is manifest and then decide that you're actually going to do the inner work and the shadow work to authentically actually raise your vibration from a cellular level, from your heart, not from a place of wanting with your brain, right? It has to be an authentic, like the monks, for instance. They are purely, authentically, they have no reason to be grateful. They have no need to be grateful, shall I say. No need to be in the present moment. They just are, because they just want that enlightenment. They want that feeling. That's how we need to be doing the inner work. The manifestation is just an extra that will come with the inner work, that will come on top of being and doing and focusing on yourself and being and practicing love and gratitude and presentness, right? The manifestation is just like a cherry on top. But people start on the surface level things, like the manifestation surface level stuff, right? And they don't do the stuff that's underground. So it's a lot harder for a lot of people to manifest because they're up here already and they're not doing the deep down work, right? Let me see if I've got an example for you guys. Yeah, we can't be forcing anything. Okay, here's an example for you. So think about someone that complains a lot. You've been there and done that, right? I know it's not a good thing to think about. But think about someone that complains a lot about what they don't have. If you tried to tell them in that moment that they should be grateful for what they have, they would flip the table, wouldn't they? That kind of person. Don't tell me to be grateful for what I have. Are you disregarding my I've been through this, and you're like, oh my God, I've just popped the lid off. Like, I should have just put the cork back in it, you know? You cannot tell them otherwise. It's the same as when you're arguing with someone and they're stubborn, or they just don't have the intellect to articulate the point you're trying to put across. You cannot do it. It's like a brick wall. You try to tell someone, that person that complains all the time and is ungrateful, that they need to be grateful, they can't receive it. It's like I couldn't create a video aimed at everyone telling them to manifest because they wouldn't believe me. They wouldn't be able to receive it because it doesn't align with their original belief system. It doesn't align with their identity. So this person that is complaining all the time and is focusing on what they don't have all the time has an identity as someone that doesn't get what they want and doesn't have a lot. It's like a pity thing. And if they think about it, and if they did the shadow work, they would realize that they're gaining from that because it's a comfort zone for them. They're gaining by feeling sorry for themselves because maybe someone didn't feel, maybe no one gave them attention before, right? Or there's all these things, but they're gaining something, a feeling of comfort, a feeling of love from themselves by feeling sorry for themselves. And that's the reason they choose to do that. But they don't want to listen to you telling them to be grateful because they want to stay in the identity and the comfort of staying safe and keeping themselves safe. That's their ego keeping them safe, right? You cannot tell them any other way because their identity, their self-concept is aligned with the lack of gratitude, with the feelings of, I don't get what I want, this is what I don't have. That's their identity, right? So this person will therefore then have the confirmation bias in their brain. So the reticular activating system in their brain will purposely always look for reasons to prove that they're right to further feed the ego, which is confirmation bias. So they will then only see the things that prove that they're right. So for instance, if all these lovely things happen, like, I don't know, this person's old, for example, and they have grandkids, the lovely grandkids come to visit them, all of these beautiful things happen in their life. Maybe someone lets them go when they're driving or opens doors for them. They don't see that. They just think in the moment, yeah, cool, thanks. But they won't let it get through to them because it doesn't align with their identity. Their identity says nothing good happens to me. I'm in lack. I don't get what I want. And then one thing happens in that day that something bad happens. Like, I don't know, they tread in dog poo. They're like, see, told you so. I'm right. My brain is right. I always experience things like this. It's just my life. What can I do? Nothing. I can't do anything. That is what confirmation bias is. It's constantly keeping your ego safe. Because imagine if your ego is against you and your ego is actually here to sabotage you and make you feel like you're wrong all the time. Guys, we would be some really insecure, low confidence humans, right? If our ego wasn't actively trying to prove that we're right and keep us comfortable and safe. So yes, it does a good job sometimes, but in the modern day, we need to just like get the ego and lock it in a cupboard. That's the best way to do it. And that's what we want to do with shadow work. We want to physically get the mirror out, look in the mirror and see the things that we think we identify as. Like, I used to leave mess all the time on the side when I would do my breakfast. I'd like sprinkle my sugar on the side and somehow it would just bounce off my cereal. Like, genuinely, it would bounce off the cereal and go on the side. And I would swear that I didn't get any sugar on the side because that didn't align with my identity. My identity was, I'm a careful person. I'm not clumsy. I am like a clean person. I don't leave sugar on the side. And so my identity told me that because it wanted me to believe that I was a clean and careful person. If I stood out, if I actually accepted that I was a messy person and I wasn't careful, I was clumsy, I would feel so like insecure about myself and it would knock my confidence and it would cause all these bad feelings in my body, which actually in terms of shadow work is good because it means you're moving through something and you're shifting and now you recognize your shadows, you can move past them and become a better person. But your ego doesn't want you to do that because it does cause feelings of sadness and insecurity for a little while until you let those feelings run their course and you replace them with good emotions. Then you become a better person at the end of it. But your ego doesn't want that to happen. It wants to keep you safe. So therefore, that person that complains all the time is the person that is benefiting from feeling sorry for themselves, from complaining all the time. And the confirmation bias from their mind is the thing that will tell them that they are right, that they don't have what they want. And they will find any reason to prove that they're right. They won't see the abundance in their life and they won't see the luck and therefore they won't see the opportunities to grow. It'll just pass by them. They won't notice them. They didn't exist. And this is what So just to go off one more thing. So that basically proves the point of that you need to stay grateful and you need to be happy and happy and excited for what's to come. But you need to always focus on what is actually in front of you that is good, whether it's anything. Like there's some lovely gratitude meditations on YouTube where it will literally go over the nature. It'll imagine you to be in the forests. It'll imagine you being grateful for the river, the fresh air, the trees, the autumn leaves, things that anyone can be grateful for. And those are the best for me because they activate the almost natural part of your body that just loves to want to be in the nature, right? And that's the thing that uplifts me the most, rather than listing things like car, house, job, money. Those are the natural things that make me grateful as a person. So I recommend listening to a gratitude meditation with things like that in. But so that's the third attribute of the person that gets what they want. They attract their dream life now versus later on. But the thing that I was going to say is, and list some questions if you've got any questions right now in the chat as well, because I'll answer those in a moment if anyone has any questions. But just to go off that last point there, before I end this live stream, this is how other people can impact your manifestation. Because when you are with someone else, you get pulled in things that you wouldn't actually have experienced on an everyday basis, but they're attracting because it's their timeline, their lessons, their frequency. You get pulled into that by being with them and around them. How many times have you been with someone and they've got into trouble somehow, or they start arguing with their partner or their friend, and then they start telling you about it, or you hear about it, you're there, and then it impacts your vibration? Or they complain to you and you haven't yet done the inner work to realize that you haven't been putting the boundaries down with the fact that you don't let anyone affect your energy. You don't let people complain to you. You don't let people bring you into their problems. You haven't yet done that inner work to put that boundary down. And so therefore you're being impacted by their frequency. You're now being pulled into their timeline that wasn't meant for you, because you're hanging around with a person. Could be anyone, could be friends, family, whoever, right? You have to be so careful with who you let into your life, because you get pulled into their timeline, which means you get pulled into their frequency. And one of my top values and my boundaries is my energy. If someone impacts my energy, I tell them straight now. I'm like, don't do that. Like, you don't have to be that, like, you don't have to be mean with them. A lot of the time, silence is the best boundary. Just not reacting to something that's undesirable, and instead reacting positively to things that are kind of like a bit of positive reinforcement, like as if they're a rat in a science lab, right? Positive reinforcement versus negative reinforcement is the best way to put down those boundaries. But you have to be really careful about getting pulled into other people's timelines. So number one was, this type of person slows down. Number two is they know that everything is unfolding before them. They're in the knowing state. And number three is that they are grateful for the now and excited for what's to come. Those are the 3 points that I have. You guys can now focus on those the attributes that are going to actually contribute towards your dream life and achieving the manifestations, alongside doing the shadow work to help you help you realize the things that have been pulling you down, but also to lock in on the things like a superpower, the parts of you've been probably hiding, the parts of us that we repress because we've been told that this part of us was bad, or this part of us was silly. All these different things that maybe even just one event happened and it caused us to repress that part of ourselves. Whether it's something that you love doing, like a hobby, like you love singing or something, and someone told you one day that you couldn't sing, and that was your superpower. That was the part of you that causes you to get paid to exist one day, but you've repressed that part of yourself. Those are the shadows that we need to be pulling up, because those are our good shadows. That's the light work we need to be doing. We need to be pulling that part out of ourselves and unveiling the shadows that are pulling us down, and then unveiling the shadows that are going to pull us up. So that's what you can now do with those 3 points that I've given you. Of course, if you do want the extra help, then I have the Passive Princess package, which is the one-on-one coaching package. And in there is also custom methods that I create for your specific circumstances. For example, custom EFT session, which is the tapping on the meridian points to let go of trapped emotions. So if you recognize now through this video that you have things that are pulling you down, like these old scenarios that are pulling you down, also can be used for the light work. If you remember that actually there's a part of you that's really good and you love it and you've been repressing it, this EFT can help bring that side out of you more. And then there's also custom affirmations in there. So again, if you tell me what you are attracting, the inner work that you believe you need to be doing first before we get into revealing it all, then obviously I can create the affirmations for you to do on a daily basis to help rewire your belief system and help you with believing that you can attract things. So there's you'll have to check out the link in the description if you want to do that work with me, because there's a few things in there and it's going to soon be discontinued. I don't know when yet, but it will be soon discontinued. I'm not going to do one-on-one work anymore after this. It'll be something different, so you'll have to wait and see. But other than that, it's been super fun today doing the live stream. Thank you so much if you're still watching. And I'm going to post it as a video now, so obviously you guys can come back to this whenever you want. So if there's any points that stood out to you, you can come back to the video. Other than that, though, I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. Thanks so much for joining, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.